I am at the head of the Metolius, the parking lot for it anyway. And what I'm going to try to do today is hike down to Riverside Campground, cross the river, and then follow the Metolius-Windigo Trail, which is a little used horse trail, and kind of do a loop that goes out west, sort of in the Lake Creek area, and then comes back to Camp Sherman, and then just follow the trails along the Metolius River back to here. Never tried this loop before. Just looked at a map and said, hey, what if this works? So I'm going to give it a shot today. I'm expecting trails to be in various conditions because it's April. No snow anywhere, so I don't have to worry about that, I don't think. Mostly if there's any problems, it will be either not being able to find the trail or trails have lots of blowdown and stuff like that on them. But let's see what this looks like. All right, just leaving the parking lot, I find the faintest of unmarked trails heading north, which is what I think I'm looking for. So right past this dropped tree here, just find this little path. No signs, no indication that it's official, but definitely followable. So I can tell people have been this way. So yeah, looking good so far. Just have to hope that maintains this condition, at least as far as the campground. All right, so I just met up with the Metolius-Windigo Trail. And this is a trail that stays below the crest, and it's like a low elevation alternate to the Pacific Crest Trail. But it goes all the way from Windigo Pass, which is down south of Diamond Peak, like way south, all the way up to almost Mount Jefferson. So it eventually joins, where does it go? I don't know, it goes up towards like Carl Lake and turns into something else. But I'm on it, and there's definitely more horse traffic at this point. And for the moment, I'm following this power line road. So I'm going to negotiate this confusing array of trails up here and see if I can find the bridge that goes west across the Metolius. Looks like I have reached Riverside Campground. I see some picnic tables and stuff in there. And I see a trail of sorts heading this way. If I had to guess, I would say that's going to be the return route of my loop. From what I see so far of the Metolius-Windigo Trail, it appears to be extremely well marked. These yellow diamonds, they're very prevalent. So even though the tread is super easy to follow by itself, you can always see the next yellow diamond from the one you're on. So even if there were like snow on the ground or something else, you'd be able to find the trail. So I'm pretty pleased so far with how easy it is to follow this route. So should be heading towards the river, and there's supposed to be a bridge there, but let's see. Okay, so I get to the Metolius River, just below the headwaters here. You see some cabins across the river, and there's all sorts of signs here about trails. So we have a trail that's going north along the river, the East Metolius River Trail. It says it's closed to horses and bikes. And then it shows the Metolius-Windigo Trail going side to side. Okay, that's where I came from, and it just shows it going across. There's no bridge. There's no bridge. And I guess that makes sense, because if this is a horse trail, what do you need a bridge for in a shallow river? Because this is like calf deep, maybe. And if you look across there, right there is the continuation of the trail. And yes, there are yellow diamonds on the trees past there. So what I have to do now, if I'm intending to follow this route, is wade the Metolius River. And it's a long wade. It goes diagonally. It's like 150 feet of walking through the water. And the thing about the water is it's 37 degrees. 37, that's cold. So I'm probably going to have really, really cold feet by the time I'm done with this. So yeah, let's give this a try. Okay, did it. It was really shallow. Most of it was like ankle deep, There's one little bit near the other bank where it was high calf deep. And yes, it was really, really cold. So now I'm kind of liking the sunny spot now that I have cold feet. Now I'm going to continue on the Metolius-Windigo Trail, going through these cabin neighborhoods and continue heading west, and it's going to loop around eventually back towards Camp Sherman. So onward. Okay, so far the route has been very successful. I forded the Metolius and I've been heading west on the Metolius-Windigo Trail since then. It's gone through a neighborhood of Camp Sherman, so I've been following this old Jeep road along the southern boundary of the private property. Now I'm at this confusing intersection. I've got a road going that way. I've got a very obvious trail going this way. And then I have what must be the Metolius-Windigo Trail going this way. There's a yellow diamond up there, so it looks like I'm back on single track. And I'm going to be going north at this point. I should, in order to get up to the point of Camp Sherman. So I'll go north on this and then east on the Lake Creek Trail to get to Camp Sherman itself, like where the store is. Looks like I'm going to have some adventures in trail maintenance, but that's okay. It's going to be hikeable no matter what. The forest primeval. No sign of man. Just the stillness and the whisper of the wind in the treetops. Oh, and the tennis courts over there. Because the Metolius-Windigo Trail is ostensibly a horse trail, anytime you have to cross something, you're generally crossing it like this, just walking right through it, because that's what horses do. This is one of the branches of Lake Creek. I think the branches have different distinct names, but I don't really know what they are. Beautiful little spot. Nothing really greened out yet because spring has not sprung, so the riparian vegetation still looks like winter. But in this case, they also have a bridge for us footbound folk, and that's good because this looks cold. Huh. Yeah, that looks sturdy enough. Lake Creek. So the part of trail I'm on now, it's still the Metolius-Windigo Trail. There's not really anything going on here. I mean, there's no exciting creeks or views of any kind. You can't see any mountains. Nothing too amazing. And there's a point in my life where I might have considered this boring. It's like, why would I want to hike this? It's not going to a glacier or a mountaintop or something. And now that I'm older, I'm reminded that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, which means that you can choose to perceive beauty in anything as long as you decide to behold it as beautiful. And I think of this as micro beauty. It's not Glacier National Park. It's not Yosemite. It's not the Oregon coast. It's not that kind of like centerfold scenery where people are going ooh and ah. It's micro beauty. It's in the color of the green in the tips of the branches of the grand firs that are waking up from winter. It's in the smell of the sunlight. And when I say smell of the sunlight, I hope you know what I mean by that, like the smell of sunlight shining on forest floor, all the duff and pine needles, and just the foresty aroma that arises, especially after a winter. Or the ever-present sound of the wind in the treetops, almost like being at the ocean and always hearing the surf. This forest is full of micro beauty. So right now I don't need to be in Yosemite. I don't need to be in Arches National Park, because I've got my own little national park right here. Doesn't look like I'm going to keep my feet dry this time. Another branch of Lake Creek, a little smaller. And here's the horse crossing. There isn't really a bridge crossing for this one. If there was, it collapsed. And I could probably find a tree that goes across it. Like, there's one right down there. But slipping off some slippery tree and busting my femur is not on my list today. And my feet are already wet from crossing the Metolius, so why not? It's going to be cold, but that's okay. It's part of the adventure. I think I'll film this one. This first part looks kind of mucky. Yeah. Ooh, that's cold. That's quite cold. Sorry, trout. Don't mean to be stinking up your creek with my foot smell. Yeah. It's actually not as cold as the Metolius, but yeah, it's still cold. All right, let's see if I can do this without getting too muddy. Oof. Oh, geez. Is that solid? We'll find out. Okay. Yeah. That wasn't too bad. Calf deep. Mud was worse than the water. Okay. There's a yellow blaze. Let's keep following. Finally, another yellow triangle. I hadn't seen one of those. Diamond. I hadn't seen one of those for a long time, so I was wondering if I was still on the actual trail. Just kind of dead ends in this road, so I'm assuming that the trail veers off to the left here in a second. North end of these neighborhoods. Oh, I see a yellow diamond. Looks like I'm going to be back on trail. I'm not far from the Lake Creek Trail, so when I get on that, it's going to lead me to Camp Sherman. I think I'll stop there and take a little snack break. Yep, back on trail. Probably halfway through the loop. And the second part will be along the Metolius River, so that'll be nice. Away we go. One of the prettier snack places in the world. At the confluence of the Metolius River, which is that, and I'm not sure, some spring creek. Yeah, in the sun, man, this is some kind of all right. Getting up near the headwaters of the Metolius at the end of the loop. And we got a new bridge, looks like. Big, healthy ponderosa fell from the other side of the river, all the way across the river, all the way across the trail, and almost blocking off the road. It was a tall tree. Back to where I started the loop. Here, at the ford of the Metolius River on the Metolius-Windigo Trail. That's where I went earlier. So yeah. I got to give this route a big thumbs up. 7.3 miles, so it's enough to make you feel like you did something. But it's short enough that you can convince people to go on it with you instead of big 15-milers that no one will go. It's pretty. It goes by a store where you can get beer and candy. There's a lot of pluses for this route. And now I know that like the loop part is over and I have just like a mile and a half back to the car. It's kind of like a cool down at the end of a workout or a victory lap or something. You know the big stuff's already done and you're just winding it down. Super easy to follow, quality trail too. All right, back to the car in probably 20 minutes.